UNH rockets after Buffett and Burry build the bottom. This stock has absolutely moved, and everybody that bought into it and bought the dip has gotten vindicated and relieved, and the stock has moved higher. I saw some folks in the Stocks with Josh Discord were saying that they were up 3,000%. I'm assuming that was a heavy leveraged option position. There's a lot of ways to play this. I'm going to take you into the charts and show you something that you need to be paying attention to. I'm going to predict the price action for UNH in the future. Now, of course, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just going to show you what I'm watching in the charts, which means that from day to day, the idea has to get confirmed, because as I show you in the S&P 500, sometimes you'll produce a bad candle and the market can either confirm or cancel that candle. We saw that happen with the S&P 500 that just wants to ever climb higher and higher. We've yet to have any form of a reasonable pullback. The market is extremely overdue for some sort of a minor correction. It just shows that the markets are moving a little bit with animal spirits, climbing higher and higher. And we even saw the meme stocks come back to life. We saw D-Nut and Open began to take off today. And so it shows you the temperament of Wall Street right now is bullish. Now, interestingly, crypto's pulled back a little bit, and that's because of the concern over our overly hawkish Fed, Jerome Powell. We need to see a little crack in that hawkishness. We need to get some positive news that we will get some rate cuts in September. I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, if we didn't get rate cuts ahead, and perhaps a bit more aggressive than some people are thinking, because we have had some really bad jobs data threatening the bullish markets. And so we're going to break down UNH. I'm going to give you some technicals on that. I'm going to talk to you about whether it's time to be loading up and chasing this thing higher. Has the bottom been formed? Is it only up from here? I think I know what it'll do, or at least I've got a great guess on it that I'm going to share with you guys today. This is the Stocks with Josh show. We had a successful trading week on Wall Street. The GOAT alerts, I gave 4 GOAT alerts in the Discord this week, specifically related to some day trades, ones that we carried overnight. All 4 of those were profitable. One of them never stopped going higher, that SSRM. Every other one booked a minimum of a 20 to 50% profit. And keep an eye out for more trade alerts like that in the Stocks with Josh Discord. And the stocks that I've been talking to you guys about on this channel, right? Some of those are doing very well. We talked about Webull. I talked about it being a stock to buy in the month of August. Now, I want to caution you about all investments right now, because the market could choose to pull back at any given moment. The market's response to that PPI showed me that the algorithm is set up with some very, very tight stop losses, so that if we get some bad data, the market will react by flush selling. I want everybody to be prepared for that. But for the time being, the market's held its ground today and climbed, and UNH has been a market leader, pulling the Dow up. The UNH stock has this similar position in the Dow as Apple has traditionally held in the S&P 500, which means that if UNH goes up, it's going to pull the Dow up with it. So the big question is it still worth buying at this pop level? I'm going to try to cover that today. Guys, thank you for hitting the like. Thank you for hitting the subscribe. Don't miss out on the Stocks with Josh Discord. I teach charting. We work together and trade as a community. I've got a number of crown traders in there giving technical advice and direction on stocks, cryptos, swing trades, and scalps. You've got my A+ scalp trade setups. We're going to cover those in the Welcome to the Discord video tomorrow to help everybody build confidence in knowing how to trade those, so more people can become consistent winners on Wall Street. You can go to my website, which is the same as the name of the show. It's StockswithJosh.com. You just add the www.StockswithJosh.com. Come check it out. Join the community. I think we have one of the most positive, uplifting, and encouraging trading communities on Wall Street. Before I get into the big news, I want to talk about a statistic that Larry and I were chatting about earlier today, and it was how are Americans positioned for retirement. And this is a shocking data point, and it should concern everybody, and it's why all of you are listening to me and watching me right now. It's the statistic I'm about to give you that should cause everybody concern, and that's that the average American, by the time they retire at the age of 65, has the median, so the median number, so that would mean half of those who are retiring at the age of 65 have no more than $100,000 in their 401k. And I'm just going to tell you right now that with the cost of goods raging out of control, right, that isn't going to get you very far in your twilight years, guys. And so that's why we're taking charge of it and learning and educating ourselves and growing our own wealth, getting focused on getting that part of the American dream, which promises more. And I think that a lot of people are learning that there is an awesome return for investing in your knowledge when it comes to Wall Street. Don't miss out. Don't be part of that group that has under six figures, under 100K by the time they get to 65 and wish they had started earlier. Okay. Let's talk about the big news surrounding United Healthcare. The stock surged 12% pre-market today on the news that Berkshire Hathaway had roughly added $1.6 billion of UNH. Apparently, Warren believes that they're too big to fail and that it's become a value proposition. They cracked open that wallet and the moths flew out. And the big pile of billions of dollars that he has, he's finally put some of it to work. This could be an overall signal that Warren believes that some of the worst is behind us and that there is opportunity ahead. So the fact that he's begun to invest in a company like UNH is a pretty bullish signal to the market overall, and it restored a little bit of confidence. And then right after Warren Buffett's purchase, then we found out that Michael Burry was doing the same thing, putting some money to work on UNH. Now, in particular, what's interesting about that is that Michael Burry is largely famous for taking short positions on the market, and he had been short for quite a while. Apparently, he's closed up some of those shorts on UNH, and he's begun to go long again. Now, neither one of these investors can make a decision for you or I. We've got to make our own decisions. But what they do is they give us a little bit of confluence. Now, I've been telling you guys over the last couple months that UNH, in my view, was worth investing in if you have a long-term horizon. This is not going to be a great swing trade. Now, if you happen to have held it yesterday before this news broke out, then you are up wildly today. But I still think, and I'm going to go into the technicals, and I'm going to tell you where I think the price action is going to move around over the course of the next couple months. And I do think that there's people who are going to be chasing the top right now. You want to pump your brakes. I'm going to show you where I think the opportunity might be to go long. I wanted to put a ton of money to work at a spot that was a little lower than where it reversed, just really within. I was very close to putting a lot of money to work on UNH, and it began to climb. Now, I do have money in UNH, and I am tracking this, but I'm looking for an opportunity to get in. I just don't want to chase the pop we just got. This thing will cool off. And I'm going to tell you something. I've been investing for quite a while, and I would say over the last 20 years, I've watched Warren Buffett do his thing, and he never concerns himself with catching the bottom, nor does he concern himself with selling the top. The fact that he bought indicated that at some point in the future, he believes that this would be a good decision. He is a buy and hold investor. So don't think that just because he bought, this won't go back and retest the lows. So with these two investing giants buying in on UNH, it has begun to restore some confidence. But let's take a minute and examine why this thing fell apart to begin with. First of all, in 2025 alone, it's down over 40%. And since it's high in 2024, this thing is down over 62%, which should be very, very concerning. Why did this stock pull back, and should it still concern us? Well, you've heard the term too big to fail. And largely, I think Warren Buffett believes, based on his purchase, that UNH is not moving towards bankruptcy and failure. And I also believed that. However, I do want to emphasize that the bears actually view their size as part of the problem. They're the number one provider of Medicare plans. And the bottom line is they're not doing a good job of it. They are not manage their costs effectively. And so they put themselves in a position with the rising costs of Medicare and what it is they've collected. They put themselves in a position where their profit margins are shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and becoming almost non-existent. And the big fear was that with the Trump administration and possibly some examination of what's really going on in UNH, that they would find some problems that would squeeze out and snuff out the remainder of profit that they've actually gotten, and that they actually could fail, that they actually could fall into a situation where the stock just absolutely falls apart. Now, I would suggest that the bears are probably right about how poorly managed UNH is, but wrong about the fact that the Trump administration is going to go after them, overregulate UNH right now. In particular, you say, well, Josh, why do you think that? Well, because if you actually do a little research, the Trump administration has actually increased Medicare spending by over $500 billion in the course of the coming years. And so it's the opposite of them sicking Doge after it, trying to whittle it away. Now, there is some focus of looking into how they are spending the money, but that probably would be a good thing that might help UNH begin to tighten their belt a little bit and do some better management of what it is they're doing. And hopefully that might all lead to them becoming profitable. So it's very, very possible that the worst is behind them and that the fear has been overblown. But ultimately, I'm going to make a decision by following the charts. And it's the charts that give me the confidence to put my hard-earned money at risk. And so I'm going to take you into the chart on UNH, and we're going to see what it says. All right, so we're looking at weekly candles, and I have identified in the past a neckline at around 330. Now, I would say that no neckline is perfectly defined. You've got the wicks at 330, but you have the bodies at 225. And so I'm going to stick with 330 for now, but understand that it's going to be within this range that I see a neckline of resistance for UNH. And sure enough, you can see that we ran right beneath that range here. And this is where we're either going to consolidate and flag for a little while. But ultimately, I believe that it's more likely that we're going to pull back from this range. Now, we might wick into it, but I think we're going to pull back from this range. And you might ask, well, why do you think that? One, as I said to you before, Warren Buffett, when he takes an initial position, he averages in, he uses all of the traditional disciplines. He doesn't just lump sum buy. And so if Warren Buffett put $1.6 billion to work, he probably intends to buy upwards to $10 billion of UNH in the course of time. Now, I'm just guessing. But what I see here is I see that we have the potential of a left shoulder. We have a head. And that means that we will likely face rejection here between 325 and 330 in this range, pull back, right, to make that right shoulder, and then from there make a higher low. And at that point, we might consolidate and push through this area of resistance and ultimately break above 330 and begin a much longer trend higher. Now, I want to remind you guys the way that these inverse head and shoulders work. You take the distance from the neckline down to the head and you put it at the breakout spot. And again, that gives us this target, which previously had been support turned potentially resistance in the future of right around 440. Overall, I think that we got a great signal here. I don't think you need to chase it. I think that there's folks that will put this on an automatic daily buy and will accumulate that entire right shoulder and ultimately get the biggest return. So give it some time. If you're following Buffett and Burry, they're famous for making longer term, longer trend decisions. And if you think that it's right for you because they bought it, well, then it's probably right for you to give it a little time. Now, for those who are thinking UNH is too expensive for me, Josh, I ain't got that UNH kind of money. I'm going to leave that to the big boys who are dropping the millions and billions. Well, I'm going to give you an alternative option for investing in UNH, and it is actually considered a micro small cap leveraged 2x bull position on UNH called UNHG. This is an ETF, and it comes with different types of risk. But instead of trading options, which can expire or face theta, right, which is where time erodes the premium, right? And if you don't really understand that and options haven't been for you, and you want to make a position in UNH long term, you could buy this UNHG. And let me show it to you in the charts real quick, because anyone who'd been on this one had made a lot of money today because it really, really popped. So people obviously were accumulating here yesterday right around 1340. It popped all the way up to $17. This has not been out very long. And as you can see, it's breaking out. Now, personally, I Again, I'm going to tell you that I would love to actually see this come back, fill this gap, right? And see this be a longer term breakout from there. So I'm going to say the same thing with UNHG. I'm going to say that this is a good solution for people that want to take a position but just don't want to put that much money. They don't want to do the options, and they don't want to put their entire portfolio to really take advantage of the opportunity for UNH. And so I think UNHG is going to be a good solution for some folks. So here's the bottom line on UNH. Buffett and Burry buying means that trust is getting restored to UNH. They have definitely given it the benefit of the doubt, and that takes the edge off for people that didn't want to try to catch the falling knife. Well, it looks like Buffett and Burry might have made a bottom for UNH right now. But as my technicals indicate, we're still not going to be in a blast off return to the top scenario. The market's going to want to sort of build up some confidence over time. Yes, they took the edge off, but we do need to see some earnings and some confirmation that profits are going to be okay. That's the big issue right now on UNH, is that they're concerned over regulators cracking down, and that it's not too big to fail, it's too big to succeed. And until they can see for certain that the profits are going to be stabilizing and growing, Wall Street really isn't going to pile back into this too soon. So we did see a pop today, but again, I wouldn't chase it, but I am bullish on UNH. I want to see it come back and make that right shoulder, and then I'll add to Buffett's money and continue to go long on the stock. Let me know what you guys are doing with UNH. The fact is, we were vindicated and relieved. Those who chose to buy into this as it was falling, it's turned out to be a beautiful, profitable trade. I once had said in one of my live trade sessions that I believed, just like in AMD, every single buy on UNH would prove to be profitable in the course of time. I'm in that position where not every buy that I've made is currently profitable, but about 90% of the buys that I made are profitable right now. And I think there's a lot of opportunity ahead over the course of the next 2 years. Let me know what you're doing with UNH. Don't sleep on the Stocks with Josh Discord. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing a welcome to the Discord video, and I think it's going to be very helpful for those who are still trying to figure out their trade plan and how to make money consistently on Wall Street. Hit that like and subscribe. Peace and blessings. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you then.